Have you ever laid in bed next to your husband and felt completely alone? Not angry, not mid argument, just alone. Close enough to hear him breathe, far enough that he might be as well in another country. I've been there, and there was a season of my life where I stood at the door of leaving, not dramatically, just quietly, the way most women do, counting reasons, setting private deadlines. If it's still like this by Ramadan. Today I'm telling you what changed. Assalamu alaikum. I'm Insia, and this is the Muslim Marriage Clinic. When I got married, I carried a belief I never said out loud. The marriage asks everything out of the woman. I didn't believe in marriage being beneficial for women and kept being at the door of excuses of how long to stay until I finally decided to stay to thrive. She's the one who works hard. She's the one who adapts and keeps adapting. She leaves her home, her rhythms, the way her family did things, and steps into the culture of another home entirely. And she's expected to figure out quietly what to keep, what to leave behind, who to become, what to do. I remember standing in that in between. What was good? What could I take from my upbringing? What did I have to let go? And underneath all of it, keep everyone happy. Maintain the ties of kinship, honor the new relationships, while somewhere inside me, there was this quiet ache for my own life, my own space, our own home, where we were part of a larger extended family, and I wanted a career too. I wanted us to build something together. I just couldn't find where I fit inside all of this. So I did what so many of us do. I got busy. I was cleaning the home, hosting, managing, trying to get it right, and trying to help my husband get it right. Living up to an expectation, living up to an ideal from the outside, I was functional, more than functional. Everything got done. The chores, the meals, the trip, the guests, it all happened. But inside, I was hurrying through every part of my life. I had no time to feel anything, let alone decide anything. I was becoming this overly capable woman on the outside while becoming impatient and empty on the inside. I kept looking at my life thinking, why can't I get it together? Why can't I keep everyone together? Why am I not satisfied with a life that everyone else says is good? And here's the part I've never admitted. I had a door in my heart and a quiet exit. I kept a list of excuses posted on the door, reasons to wait a little long before walking through it. It just needs more time. We need to be more financially stable first. Everyone needs time to adjust. I may be the problem. I'm just not seeing the goodness. Everyone else sees the goodness in my marriage. Why can't I? I kept extending the deadline. 6 more months. After this milestone, after that one, I said, I can't keep doing this for so long. The sentence lost its meaning because I kept doing it. I didn't have the heart to walk out. But make no mistake, I was leaving. Quietly, invisibly, in my heart, while my hands kept serving everyone, running on empty and calling it patience. And around me, marriages were failing. Close friends of mine, women I loved, getting divorced. And I asked my friends, do you see any red flags in my marriage? Am I missing something? And in between the tears and the praying and the confusion, a harder question started to form. One I was almost afraid to ask. Is marriage a test for women only? Did Allah design it this way? Men are named the protectors and maintainers. Will Allah not hold them accountable? Are women supposed to just be weak, timid, lost, and call it sabr? I sat with that question, and when I was honest with myself, I saw something underneath it. Allah was not the center of my marriage. People's happiness was. The ideal in my head was. My marriage was running on everyone's expectations except His pleasure. Then came a night I'll never forget. Middle of the night, tears, asking Allah, just guide me, give me the strength because I don't know how much longer I can do this. And that night, something shifted that I didn't expect. Not my circumstances, my intention. I understood, really understood, that I married to fulfill a purpose, not a wish. My marriage was never meant to be my redemption ticket. It was never meant to be the place that owed me my happiness, the place I performed in until I earned my rest. It was an amana, a place of worship, of growth, of rahmah, with my Rabb at the center of it, not the audience in my head. And that changed the question entirely. The question was never, should I stay or should I leave? I had already answered that 100 times by staying. The real question was, am I going to keep staying to survive or am I going to stay to thrive? Surviving, I knew. Surviving was the hurrying, the door of excuses, the leaving in my heart. The thriving meant staying with my whole self, staying with Allah in front of me instead of everyone's approval, staying as a woman, not just as a function. That decision, staying to thrive, not just to stay, is where everything you will hear on this podcast comes from. And if you're sitting there with your own quiet door, your own list of extended deadlines, I'm not here to tell you to rip the list down tonight. I just want you to know I've stood exactly where you're standing, and there was a way through that didn't require me to abandon myself or my deen or my marriage. That's the road we're walking together here. So here's the sentence I want you to sit with, because it took me years to find it. I wasn't actually done with my marriage. I was done with the version of me that was disappearing inside it. And those are two very different problems with two very different solutions. So let's talk about the door of excuses. Most unhappy women, wives, aren't planning to leave. They're living at the door. 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Staying for the kids, staying until I finish my degree, until he does it one more time. Because living at the door is the most exhausting place in a marriage. You get all the burdens of staying with none of the barakah of committing to it. Your husband can feel it, your children can feel it, and most painfully, you can't put your heart into a home you're half planning to exit. So ask yourself honestly, have I actually decided to be in this marriage? Not, I'm still here, have I decided? If the answer is no, don't panic. The next few episodes are exactly for you. Deciding to work on your marriage is not the same as deciding it will never hurt again. It's just closing the door long enough to see clearly. What actually changed? It wasn't one thing. It was an order of the things. Allah first. My connection with Him had quietly become transactional and dry. Second, me, my nervous system, my resentment, my expectations. My marriage, third. Everyone tried to fix it in the reverse order, and that's why it doesn't work. Because a wife pouring from an empty cup doesn't need communication scripts first. She needs to be refilled. When I softened towards Allah, I had something to soften towards my husband with. So start where I started. 5 minutes. After one salah a day, stay on the mat for 5 extra minutes and speak to Allah about your marriage in your own language. No formula, no qualifying it, just the truth. He already knows. The relief is in the telling. If you want the guided version of this, my free From Resentment to Rahmah 5-day email series walks you through the first 5 days of this exact process. One short email, one small step each day. The link is in the notes. And why I'm doing this work now, what I'm seeing right now in our communities, that divorce numbers are rising among Muslim couples. Wives being told either be patient, sister, with no tools, or you deserve better, leave, with no fear of Allah in the advice. And a generation of Muslim mothers burning out silently in between. We're doing it all, learning the skill, healing, pushing ourselves in every direction. Because our children are watching. Because the home is where the ummah is actually built. And because I know from the inside that most of our marriages are not dead. They're depleted. There's a difference. And it's treatable. That's why this is a clinic. My role isn't to convince anyone to stay in a harmful marriage. Let me say this clearly. If you're being abused, that's not a communication problem, and you deserve real help and safety. But if your marriage is tired, sometimes toxic, we can still work through it, and this is why this show is there for. Staying to thrive versus staying to survive. There are 2 ways to stay. Staying to survive looks like keeping score, doing the bare minimum, emotionally, waiting for him to change first, calling it sabr. Staying to thrive looks like taking your own healing seriously, learning actual skills, and measuring success by who you're becoming for Allah, not just for Him. Because staying to survive slowly costs you your self-respect and your sweetness with Allah. Staying to thrive returns both, often before your husband changes anything at all. That was the shock of my journey. How much moved when only I moved. So choose one relationship to upgrade this week. Not with your husband, with Allah, or with yourself. One salah with real presence, or 1 hour that's genuinely yours. Watch what it does to your patience at home. So what's coming? Over the next episodes, we're getting practical. What is a romance in real life after everything that we've been through? Why do we have to stop weaponizing this theme? What are the emotional regulation skills we need? And later in the season, money boundaries, healthy relationship setting, when to say no and when to say yes, how to stop over communicating. I'd love for you to follow the show now so it comes to you every week. The 5-day email series is in the notes. If you feel called, start tonight. Barakallahu feekum. See you next week in the clinic. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow the show for more and share it. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.